So now we'll start the process of converting a managed bean, a JSF managed bean, into a REST API with SpringBoot framework. We will copy and paste the two classes used by the managed bean, used by JSF to query the database and display with the XHTML file. We'll copy, paste these two files and use them in a SpringBoot application. The first step will be the creation of the Maven project with Spring Initializer. We'll use Spring Web dependency and the MySQL driver dependency. We'll be using Java, Maven, SpringBoot 3.2.2 packages jar, and we'll be using JDK 17. Now let's generate the project, download it, and import it into IntelliJ as a Maven project. We'll be using IntelliJ instead of Eclipse because it is a more suited IDE for API construction. Let's copy the two classes associated with managed bean, paste them into the Maven project, and we'll be using the Dao pattern to implement this migration. We'll have the employee class, the model, exactly as it was in the managed bean in the original application. We will be using just one method inside the employee DAO, that is the Dao pattern interface, just to get employees exactly as it was in the JSF project. And in the implementation class of the Dao class, we'll just perform some minor modifications in the code. This JDBC code will be used exactly as it is in the REST API. Out of a few minor modifications to have a modern structure of a API project, we'll just strip off the hard-coded configurations. The database configurations will no longer be hard-coded. We'll strip the code associated with the managed bean. It is no necessary here. We will tag it using the repository annotation to indicate to Spring that this is a component, and the remaining code in the class is just the same as it was in the JSF application. This is the getEmployees method, which is also present here. The select will be the same, the get connection will be the same. The get connection method will also be in the employee JDBC class, which is the employee DAO interface implementation. And why will it be here instead of a separate class or some other configuration class? Because it is technology dependent. It must remain here. It's part of the application, and as it is being implemented by a design pattern, it will be easily migrated to some other technology, just like Spring Data. This is the minor configuration modification we'll be using. We'll just strip off the hard-coded configuration, and we'll use the application properties and inject the values of the application properties into the attributes of the class related to the JDBC configuration. We'll also create a config class to supply a bean to be injected in the REST controller.